Greg, several stories coming out this week that were relying on anonymous sources. I'm curious to know just what's going on in the White House. Why is it that people want to share information with journalists like yourself?
Well, I think that in some ways their motivations are no different than they've ever been, and there are many, many motivations for sources who come to speak to journalists like myself. I think in this case it's more pronounced because it's such a highly charged atmosphere and there is so much turmoil surrounding this administration that the level of concern, the sort of internal concern about what's happening, about mistakes that are being made, about the way things are handled, is extreme. And so I think in some cases there are people who are interested or have motivations to try to describe what's happening inside just out of profound concern.
But, you know, the minute these come from anonymous sources, the Trump camp and the president himself will say this is fake news because there are no names attributed to the information that comes out. How do you handle that kind of criticism?
It gets tiresome, I have to admit, especially now because it's really just become such a reflexive refrain, not only for the White House, but for a lot of sort of critics of the media. It's just something so easy to say and so hard to back up, I think, this fake news charge. But really, I mean, what matters to me is that our stories have had significant impact and they all hold up extraordinarily well. I mean, it was our coverage this year that led to Mike Flynn being fired as the National Security Advisor. It was our reporting this year that led to the Attorney General recusing himself from the Russia investigation. And despite what the White House was saying this week about the story about Trump revealing sensitive information to Russia, I mean, the facts have not been refuted, and if you listened carefully to how the White House was talking about that story, they essentially confirm all of its main elements.
I'm wondering, too, we've heard the president using the term witch hunt, saying that he is the victim of a witch hunt and you know, referring to journalists like yourself. What do you think about the climate that's now being created in Washington and the difficulty it makes for you to do your job?
Well, I mean, we're not engaged in a witch hunt. And I think that people forget how hard we worked as journalists to subject the Obama administration to meaningful coverage, to meaningful scrutiny, how hard we worked, how hard my colleagues here at the Post worked to subject Hillary Clinton to tremendous scrutiny while she was running for president. I mean, this is our job, this is what we do, and I think Trump has an inflated kind of sense of injury here. He tends to be fairly self-absorbed as an individual, so it's not surprising that he only sees this in terms of how he sees himself as being mistreated, but ultimately what we're writing about are his actions, his behavior, and the behavior and conduct of his administration.
Greg Miller, great to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Sure.